how to model this reference image that we have, okay? And of course, like, okay, I have to put this onto the Moodle, I guess, first, so that everyone can download, right? This one? Does everyone have this? Okay, so I'm beginning. So, and let's switch between these two. Okay, so what we need to do is, for example, if you get back to this quad view on your viewport, you can drag and drop a reference image into your scene to be able to use it as a reference image. So let's, although this is not from the side view, ideally it should be front view, side view, and top view to be used as a reference image. But for like, instead of going back and forth between different windows, I'll just drag this to the right view, okay, here, and it becomes the background of your viewport, okay? So now I can create a box. So by the way, do you have any suggestions how we can create this 3D geometry? So what would be your path on starting? Yeah. This one with taper. Okay. Taper deformer? Okay. This part? Yeah, with loft maybe. Yeah, you don't need to do it in a parametric way, but I'll be showing you how to do it in a, like, using deformers and all these tools that we've seen. Okay, so I'll start with a box and then start bending that, maybe. And then add a correction deformer to push this aside, and then create these arms here, and then create these with lathe object, maybe, and this with the lathe object instead of loft, maybe. So let's start. So let's see. I won't be stopping that much because I'm recording this at the same time, okay? This is right view, okay? So I've created a box, and I'll be using that to create this arm here, or feet here. I'll create the bend and increase Y segments and bend this tool. By the way, normally it bends in a specific direction, right? In this direction. So, but I have to decrease this dimension like this and rotate the bend 90 degrees maybe. Okay, so that it behaves like this. And again, I'll hit fit to parent. And move this like this, so that I can increase the size, by the way, adjust the size and hit fit to parent again, and move that according, I'll move the cube, not the deformer, I'll move the cube. So I'm not expecting an exact replica of this model, but something similar, okay? So, okay, the bend deformer is more or less the same, let's say. So I'll add a correction deformer and go to here and use this to, okay, not this. I have to select that by clicking the rectangle selection tool here, and I'll click and drag to select these vertices, both of them, and I'll move them like this, okay? So now you can see that this is a very hard model, like a very harsh box, but I want it to be smooth like this thing here, right? So for that, I'll add a subdivision surface to smooth things up and put this cube inside that. So as soon as I do that, notice how the form has become smoother, okay? So with the correction deformer on, I can adjust this like this, and also maybe I can make this cube a little bit thinner like this. I don't know, so let's go back to this view. Yeah, this is more or less similar. Now move this and maybe select this one and move a little bit like this. Select this one, move a little bit upwards. And more or less, I think I have managed to do this area here, right? So there are some sharp edges here. In order to smoothen that up, I'll be decreasing the subdivision surfaces this number here so that it becomes even more smoother. Okay. Bend cube'a yaptım. Cube'a fit to print yaptım. Sonra correction ekledim.
Hocam mesela sizin live view'unuzda da bend edilmiş gözüküyor ya. Bende gözükmüyor.
So maybe you should then select this bend tool and change the angle of this. Here. Look at here. Change the angle. Okay. So yeah, maybe this is enough for the feet. Now I can go to these bent wires or the other triangular feet there. So I'll be using, let's say, I need to bend this part. I can use, I can do this with a spline, or I can do this with a bend deformer, right? So since we don't have a top view, probably the top view should be something like this. If I were to sketch this, it would be something like, from the top view, it would be something like that, right? And something like this. But I need to draw a spline. Okay, so I'll draw a spline with this spline pen tool from the top view, okay? And do the adjusting part later on. So I'll start with drawing this, and it's something like this, right? And let's say something like this. I hit space and cancel the tool. And now I'll select this spline. In the object mode, I'll be rotating that like this, okay? So that it's something similar to this. So in this view, I need to rotate this in a way that it will be aligning with the angles. Of course, like this reference view is from the side, and mine is from the exactly right of that object. So I'll be guessing some things up. So I'll select this spline and select this bottom edge and extend this. So notice that there should be a floor here. So this should be at the same level with this spline there. So I move this like that. Okay. And this is okay. And this part should be like this maybe. Okay. Move this up this way, and from this part maybe I can move this a little like that and rotate this in this direction, move a little like that, select this one, move a little bit sideways. So as you can see, it's back and forth between adjusting things and seeing how things come up. Okay, so let's say this is not okay, of course, but let's say it's okay, and I'll just move this towards this part, towards the center of this area here. Okay, move it inside. So I'll just use sweep to make it a wire like this. Okay, so I'll create a sweep generator here and create a circle, since it is based on a circular rod. I decrease the dimensions a lot thinner so that it matches, so that it matches the diameter of this rod here, like this maybe, and put inside sweep and the spline as the second object, and then we can see that okay, something is not right. So it's probably the placement of the circle. So I go to the circle and go to the plane and change the direction to XY, or plane to XY, and it's done. Okay, so more or less this is, let's see how it views. Okay, this is too thick, maybe let's make it 6, much better. So I can continue on adjusting this spline, by the way, like straighten things up maybe. And from top view, maybe I can scale this down so that it becomes sharper. Like this. Okay. Okay, so more or less, this is giving the idea of this feet, right? So what's nice thing about sweep is in the object panel, I can go to the details, and in the scale, I can use different scaling options. So let's try. Okay, this is not so apparent, so maybe that's not the best option. So I want to make this here, this part, a little bit swollen, right? So I want to, I can either do this form with lathe object, or I can use sweep and use the scale tool, scaling of it, to create a form that is very similar to that maybe. So let's see if I can be able to do that. So I can increase this.
Şimdi bir şey söyleyeyim mi?
Hmm.
Şu ilk yaptığınız şey uçlarını nasıl incelttiniz?
Sorry?
İlk yaptığınız parçanın uçlarını nasıl incelttiniz?
Bunun mu?
Hı hı.
I've put that inside a subdivision surface. So normally it was something like this. The cube was something like this. And let me. So there are not so much subdivisions, not so much segments in this cube. If I put that into subdivision surface, and when it smoothens things up like that, it crushes down those edges to something similar to this. Okay, but if I increase the segments of the cube, it will be something like this. Look at this. It won't be so thin. So because of that, I don't want to increase this too much. So it was 8, segments was 8. Okay. And in the sweep, there are two different important options you need to be aware of. So please watch this, everyone, okay? So for sweep to work in this manner, I use this spline and go to its object panel, and in the intermediate points part, I chose adaptive and angle to 0. By default, it's 5. But if it's 5 degrees, it doesn't allow you to create a detailed geometry there, okay? So I can either go to uniform actually. Okay, select the uniform and increase this number to something, okay, maybe adaptive is the best. So let me check this. Okay, adaptive is the best. So in the spline, select intermediate point as adaptive, it's the default, but change angle from 5, this was by default 5, to 0, okay? So that it will allow you to generate detailed geometry. So how this scale change happened, it is done by a curve in the sweep generator, in the details part. So notice that how this shape resembles this shape. Okay, so if I change this like that, the whole shape changes there. Okay, so you can add these control points here by control or command clicking so that it creates another control point. Okay, and then try to achieve what this form here is similar to. So maybe something like this, maybe okay. So not, as I said, you don't have to be 100% exact. Okay. Oh. Okay. So now you can see that I have this form more or less established. So if I move this spline and move this point there, like this, or maybe move not a single point, but these 2 points. Okay, more or less this form is there. And what I'll do is I need 2 arms, right? And I need some symmetry. So I'll add a generator called symmetry here, out of the generator's icon here. I'll add this and put the sweep inside this symmetry. So as soon as I do that, it's duplicated. So when I change one of them, both changes. So the beauty of it is like that. Everything is still parametric, and I can change them in real time. Okay. So if I pass on to the normal shading mode, okay, that's not perfect, of course, but maybe I need to open the arms a little bit more. With the select mode, I can choose this and move upwards. Okay. Okay, and then I'll add this lamp here, lamp form here, by creating a curve that is similar to this with a new spline. So I'll start from here. I'll try to mimic this curve and like this. Hit space. Okay. And then I'll create a lathe object and put the spline inside that lathe object. But there's a problem, since the spline was not, this image is not centered on the origin. I need to shift the spline back to the origin part so that this beginning point, this beginning starts with this green line there. Okay? So, yeah. So if when I hit enable lathe, now I'll have that form. Okay. So now that I have that form, I can either move this lathe object to its place and check if it's standing right. Okay. It's standing more or less. And then I'll create the wire from here and wire from there, and I'll call it a day, I think. So that would be enough for me, for you to submit actually. So the aim of this is using different types of generators to create these geometries, okay? So since I have this form here established, by the way, while drawing these splines, try to draw with as many as little control points as possible. Okay, that will make your model or form more controllable, more easier to control. Okay. Okay, so I'll create another spline from here for the cable. I deselect everything, choose object mode, and create the spline pen here, and create this cable that is connected to here like this, a little bit slanted maybe. Hit space. I have the spline here, and I'll again use the sweep tool, sweep generator. And put this inside the sweep, and I'll also add a circle or an end side. Let's say we can change the form later on. So this is too big. I'll decrease this until it matches the thickness of this cable, maybe like this. Okay, and put it inside sweep as the first object there. And again, it is problematic. See, it's like this. So I go to the end side object and change the plane to something else. Okay, I don't want it to be hexagonal. Let's increase this so that it becomes something more like a rounded, and maybe decrease the thickness, and maybe move this a little bit like this so that it's centered. Okay. So yeah, more or less I have my cable now. So the last thing that is remaining is the button cable, right? By the way, I noticed that these these arms are lower than the back arm, so I need to put this a little bit higher like this so that they stand on the ground as the same ground. Okay, like this. Okay, so actually this is not exactly the same. This arm is not, the feet are not exactly the same, but I'm now at first, after establishing the overall shape, then maybe make some modifications like this, maybe like, I don't know, like this. Okay. And also I didn't like the overall thickness of these wires, so I go to the circle and decrease the radius a little bit. So yeah, it feels better than the previous one. Again, I can change and play with the angles. Okay, like this. Okay, more or less it's done. And now I need to do the final wire. So for that I'll use the top view. Okay. Oops, sorry. So I'll use the top view and draw from the top view. So I'll draw wire something like this. Okay. I deselect everything, choose model mode here, and select this spline pen here. And start by drawing like this, and maybe something like this. I'm using this top view because I want this wire to stand on the floor. Okay, I don't want it to wobble around. So I go and select this object model tool and put it downwards like this, and yeah, more or less it will be around, going around here at this level. Or maybe, okay, the ground is here, so I'll go to the spline and go to the point mode and select one of them and move it upwards like this, so that it's attached to this, right? And for reference, I'll add a disk and scale that and move it downwards like this, so that it acts as a ground floor, okay, like this. And for the spline, I'll use again the sweep generator, put it inside, and also use an end side. I can copy and paste this that I used for the cable here, okay. I can Command C and Command V, it pastes to the top, and I'll put it inside here, and immediately it generates this wire, okay. So yeah, this sums up the thing, but don't forget, by the way, for example, to rename your objects. So this lathe object here is the lamp, right? Okay, this is the wooden feet, I guess. Yeah. And this is metal feet. And this is, the sweep is pendant cable. This is floor. And this is electric cable, let's say. Okay, so now I see which object is for what. Okay. By the way, if you prefer, you can do this with box modeling, okay? But I'd highly recommend this method, since it allows you to procedurally modify this form even after you complete everything, okay? So, for example, this form here, you can always adjust the form to your liking, okay? So yeah, this sums up today's in-class exercise, and I'll be uploading this hopefully if it has recorded. Okay, it's working. So you can check this video and try to see the missing parts if you have missed. Okay, so together with the reference image, of course this is not the perfect model, of course. For example, this is too smoothed. This is too smooth maybe for that, but the overall thing gives the idea. Of course, if we had more time, we could develop this even further, because like this part should have another part that needs another material. Of course, for example, I can make this editable, this lamp editable, and convert it into a mesh, and then select, for example, these areas there, and let's see, okay, let's select these, and maybe extrude them to make something like a wooden part, right? You see? So now I've lost all the parametric properties there, but now I have polygon level control over the model. And also I can change the color of these materials so that I can assign different materials to there. Okay. So yeah, please ask any questions you might have, because I know you'll have, because this was a very fast-paced demo, but I'm trusting that with the video you can easily do that. And it is necessary to sometimes have some problems to understand things better. And also for reference, I'm opening all these here for you to see the structure of the model that I've done. So by seeing this, you can also understand how this might have been done. Okay? And I want to, when I look at the form, okay, I'll undo this lamp, okay, because I need to change this form. Sorry. This is more like this. This form is more like this. After I look at this, it seems more suitable. Okay, so yeah, I'm stopping the recording.